Give the trash to someone else, our soldiers won't even touch it. That's exactly how the Russian military refers to the AK-12 rifle. While ordinary soldiers don't have the right to object or choose an alternative, special forces have this possibility. They take the previous AK-74M, the short AK-105, or even the outdated AKM. Anything will do as long as they don't have to deal with the AK-12. In this episode, we will take a close look at why the 5th generation rifle, which was due to outperform the AK-74 by a factor of 2, turned out to be Russia's most failed and most hated weapon. Alright, let's start with the handguard. In an effort to incorporate all modern weapon solutions, the AK-12 handguard was made free-floating. In contrast to other models, such a handguard is not attached to the barrel, only to the receiver. Thus, there's no pressure applied to the barrel by the handguard gripped by the soldier. This isolation from external pressure increases accuracy, but it's not as easy as it sounds. This is justified if you are talking about sport shooting, where shooters fight for every fraction of a percent increase in accuracy, but certainly not for an AK rifle used by the military. Nevertheless, they did it, and that's where the problems began. The handguard on the AK-12 moves even under slight pressure from the hand. Not to mention the fact that the quality of plastic is so bad that the probability of the handguard splitting has increases many times. It is also known that an additional 2-shot firing mode was introduced in the AK-12. Now the modes are in this order: safety, automatic, 2-shot mode, and single shot. The last mode had to be placed even lower, and as a result, the selector lever started to come off if it was lowered a bit more sharply. This literally means you may bump into an enemy and suddenly became weaponless. With the AK-74 or AKM, there was not even a distant possibility of such a situation. The method of muzzle device attachment was also changed. Instead of the usual threads, the AK-12 was fitted with a bayonet mount. In general, it seems as if all innovations in the AK-12 were made by people who watched too many gun commercials and played too many video games, without going into details. So, the muzzle device is fixed on threads by simple screwing, but in bayonet mount, it is fixed by snapping of mutual protrusions at a short turn. Such a mount is used, for example, in camera lenses. It is a good technology, but not for an AK-12. First of all, none of the AK rifles before used bayonet mount, only threads were in use. This means no muzzle device compatibility. Secondly, the construction itself. Not everyone knows, but the bayonet mount was used by Gennady Nikonov in the well-known AN-94 Abakan rifle, and there it is really done very competently. There's a small pedal on the top, and by clamping it, the muzzle can be easily removed from the barrel. But in AK-12 it is made in such a way that it is even less convenient than the thread mount. Here's the fixation is done by the pin, which is heavily overlapped by the compensator, and it takes some effort to push it down and make it turn. Moreover, the seat of the muzzle device has a ring-shaped cavity. Naturally, it gets dirty very quickly, and due to its small size, it is very difficult to clean. The cleaning of the gas tube has also become more complicated. Ingenious solution, it is now simply not removable. To clean the gas tube, you need to remove the plug from the side of the gas block. But even so, it will not be possible to clean it properly, because there is a space in the joint between the gas block and the gas tube. Soot and dirt get blocked there, and it is almost impossible to get there. At the moment, there are 3 versions of the new rifle: AK-12, AK-12M, and AK-12M1. To make matters worse, with each new version, new disadvantages are added. On the AK-12M rifle, the grip and trigger guard were made in one piece. What is the advantage of this? Absolutely none. But now it is impossible to install grips from other AKs. And in the third, the newest version of AK-12M1, they tried to solve the problem of bayonet mount, which everybody complained about. Yes, and now there's no mount at all. They made the muzzle device non-removable. As a result, the number of disadvantages of the AK-12 far exceeds the number of advantages. Of course, there are some useful innovations: diopter sights, Picatinny rails, and convenient selector, which in the new version became short and double-sided. But what is the cardinal improvement of the new rifle? Most of the pluses can be compensated by tuning any old version of AK, and nobody wants to have a rifle with a lot of shortcomings, which can fall apart in your hands any moment. That's all for today. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. See you next week.